In Sakamoto Days, there's an organization referred to as the Japanese Association of Assassins. This organization is an underground world within itself where there's a thriving hitman business unbeknownst to most people in the world. And within the JAA, there's a group of assassins that people call the Order. This group contains only the strongest assassins in the world. Some time would pass after this group was created, and the JAA would become greedy when it came to the power of the Order. So they would begin to take in young orphans in order to artificially create and engineer future members of the Order. One of these orphans would eventually escape and break the rest out, abandoning the project and swearing to not eradicate only the Order, but the entire Japanese Association of Assassins. This boy was named Kei Uzuki, also known as Slur and X, and in this video, I'll be attempting to break down his stats, skills, and abilities in order to give you a sense of how strong he is in the world of Sakamoto Days. Since I value the time of both you and I, let's cut the intro short and get straight into the video. Kei Uzuki serves as the current main antagonist of Sakamoto Days and has eradicated about 1/4 of the entire assassin industry as of present time. He's nothing short of a completely dominant force that every character seeks to either suppress or eliminate depending on the person due to how dangerous he truly is. Getting into Uzuki's overall strength is a bit difficult as he has dissociative identity disorder, and this allows him to create many different personas and use any of the persona's combat abilities as long as he's personally witnessed the abilities himself. It's currently unknown if he can create personalities without a reference, as all of his extra personalities do seem to be him replicating other characters to a point where he can even copy the way they speak, and he's even able to copy their stats. Due to this, I'm going to have to cover Uzuki himself, then go over his personalities as if they're abilities since they technically are. Uzuki also has another medical condition that has the location of his heart inverted, which has allowed him to escape death not once, but twice. This is, funnily enough, a pretty powerful trait because nobody is aware of this, so when characters go for his heart, they tend to miss. Uzuki as the leader of Takamura and the primary antagonist is certainly going to have some pretty high stats. But the thing is, for a character who's been in more fights than even Nagumo, we haven't seen him fight enough to get an accurate 100% estimation of his physical strength. As with both of his fights with Sakamoto, he doesn't really do anything where he needs to exert physical strength at any point. And as for his battle with Takamura, like everybody else, he was getting completely destroyed before he could do anything to defend himself. But we still have seen him do things like destroy concrete by using his weapon and just cut people's body parts off. These are all things that the big boys in the series can do, so he's up there. Although I will say with a part, he did it with a very tiny knife, which makes him more impressive than most characters. Also in the fan book, Uzuki has his overall physical abilities placed at a 5 alongside characters such as Sakamoto and Nagumo, so we'll say he's around those characters when it comes to physical strength just to be safe, as he is doing things that only the big boys of the series can do. Now thankfully we have a strong amount of feats when it comes to his speed. When we're formally introduced to Uzuki, we see him do things such as blitz our heroes left and right. None of them could even land a single hit on him at the time until Sakamoto would get angry and tap into his killing intent. And we've also seen him move fast enough to grab Gaku out of the way of Takamura's slashes. He was even able to attack Sakamoto with his whip blade, and as Sakamoto parried the whip blade and shot at Uzuki, Uzuki was able to move fast and precise enough to thwip the blade in a way that would allow him to deflect the bullets that were shot toward him while it was still attacking Sakamoto. That is just some insane levels of speed and control simultaneously, and it truly shows you how capable of a combatant he is just from the little we get from him. Mind you, this feat was performed while he was still pretty young in the flashback, not his present self. Overall, Uzuki is without a doubt one of the faster characters in the series, as we see him either blitz people or keep up with some of the fastest characters. He also has pretty good durability and endurance. We've seen him be impaled multiple times by multiple different characters, and he always manages to walk it off. Even after the time Nagumo impaled him, he got slashed by Takamura soon after, and he still didn't die. He was able to get up and fight a few moments after all of that damage was taken. Sakamoto has also grabbed him and threw him through 2 pillars, and it didn't seem to do much to him. Uzuki displays that he's extremely hard to put down if you can even manage to land any hits on him in the first place, and he's as impressive as some of the most tanky characters in the series. Last and most importantly, Uzuki, like Nagumo, is extremely intelligent. Uzuki would display his ability to study an opponent and find potential weaknesses in his battles against Kindaka and Takamura, as when his fellow students were overwhelmed with Kindaka's speed, he'd simply tell them to predict where he'll end up as he moved in linear paths. As for his battle with Takamura, he'd understand that Takamura is a killing machine who can sense bloodlust, so he changed his approach to immobilizing Takamura, which allowed him to actually restrain him for a brief period of time. Uzuki does really seem to be a character who can understand his opponents and break them down quite easily, and that should be taken into consideration when gauging his overall strength. It makes him extremely dangerous. Uzuki himself also sports the previously mentioned sword whip blade, and he's able to use it in a way where he can combat his opponents at any range. He even has enough finesse with it to simultaneously attack and defend himself at the same time. The flexibility of this weapon cannot be understated. Uzuki was even able to use it to restrain Takamura by wrapping it around his arm and throwing the weapon into the elevator that moved to the next floor, dragging Takamura toward the elevator and keeping him in place. Of course, Takamura did some nonsense to get himself out of that situation, but my point still stands. It's pretty potent, and Uzuki knows how to use it in every way possible. On top of all of this, Uzuki has access to both Takamura and Rion as personalities that can take over and battle for him with their own distinct stats and abilities. Takamura is easily the most powerful character in the series, and he was able to do a 1-on-5 against Nagumo, Gaku, Uzuki, Sakamoto, and Haruma and come out only losing an eye. Takamura's power is so overwhelming that Nagumo himself would state that the only person who can beat Takamura is Takamura himself. Mind you, Takamura and Nagumo were stated to be the top 2 assassins in the order, and by proxy, the top 2 in the entire Japanese Association of Assassins. He's just built different. Uzuki would obtain the Takamura personality when Takamura was about to take his life. So in response, Uzuki completely copied Takamura and stole his sword to cut him down in one blow. We can't assume that they're equals and Takamura only really died because he was caught off guard, but we don't really know. However, Uzuki is the only person with this level of power in the world, and there is an issue with this though, as Uzuki is unable to control Takamura at the moment, and Takamura tends to take over Uzuki's body and lash out on his allies. If you want more on Takamura, you can check out this video I did here. The other personality that Uzuki has access to is the Rion personality. He has way more control over this one, as Rion was somewhat a reasonable person, and he got along with her pretty well when she was alive. Rion didn't seem to be that powerful in the flashback arc, as we were following Sakamoto and the others as teenagers. But after finding out that Prime Sakamoto was only an assassin for 2 years after he joined the Order, not that much time passed between Rion being in Sakamoto's life and him reaching his prime, as her death was only 1 year before he retired. Because remember, she had been hiding out with Uzuki for the first year that Sakamoto was in the Order and searching for the two. She was only eliminated by Uzuki after that 1 year of them hiding out. Rion was considered to be an equal or above to Sakamoto when they were both at school and offered positions in the Order, and I honestly doubt Sakamoto tripled his strength in his final year as an assassin. I'm pretty sure he only grew a little bit stronger. So I personally think that Rion is one of the more powerful characters in the story. We've seen the Rion personality smack Kumanomi hard enough to send her flying out of a building, so she's definitely powerful. Rion should also give Uzuki access to her ability to see a killing path. Killing paths are imaginary lines representing future actions she can take in order to eliminate a target. Rion has been shown to see multiple paths for the same enemy at one time, which means that she can simultaneously consider and select between a number of routes to eliminate her foes. She has used this ability multiple times, especially when fighting Kindaka, who managed to counter it by blinding her with a few drops of alcohol in her eyes. She is also one of the best shooters in the series. Uzuki has a lot of options due to these two personalities and can shift the tide of any battle with them if he himself isn't enough. I mean, Takamura himself should be enough for anybody in the series. It's unknown if he can combine the abilities of his personalities, but knowing shonen battle manga, he'll more than likely be able to do this at some point. All in all, Uzuki's identity disorder is easily one of the most scary abilities in the series, and the potential of it is limitless if he's even able to copy Takamura. Now, with all assassins in the series, I like to go over their fights in order to illustrate their power, so we'll be doing the same with Uzuki. Starting with his confrontation with Sakamoto and his team, we see that Uzuki perception blitzes them relentlessly, and he taunts Sakamoto with the lives of his family, causing Sakamoto to use more strength and actually manage to cut Uzuki's face. But that's as far as that little confrontation got, because Takamura would come in and attack both him and Gaku. Uzuki, for obvious reasons, wanted no parts of Takamura, and he would even have his comrade Uda sacrifice his life in order for him to escape. This quote-unquote fight was pretty one-sided, and it just shows us how strong Uzuki is. Now, the next time we see Uzuki actually fight, it's his battle against Prime Sakamoto. Something of note here is the fact that he had just eliminated Rion right before this fight, and we find out much later in the series that Uzuki had entered that battle after he'd already resigned his fate due to his actions and his brother's manipulation, so he more than likely wasn't at his best. The battle begins with the two attacking one another, but Sakamoto manages to take control and throw Uzuki while Uzuki retaliates midair by grabbing Sakamoto's leg with his whip and sending him toward a pillar. The two exchange a few more blows before Sakamoto uses Uzuki's whip against him, throws him across the arena they're fighting in, and lands the finishing blow. Uzuki here was able to put up something of a fight, but Sakamoto easily cleaned up shop once really getting an understanding of his opponent. But again, mental states do matter in Sakamoto Days, and Uzuki was probably at his lowest here. The first time we'd actually see Uzuki have to fight with everything he had as an adult would be when Takamura came to destroy the entire cast. Sadly, Uzuki had just been impaled by Nagumo right before this, and Takamura would land a direct hit on him by ambushing him soon after, so he wasn't in good condition by the time he got back up to fight. Despite this, he managed to work alongside Gaku and Haruma in order to eventually restrain Takamura against the wall and almost land a hit on him. However, Takamura would cheat the game by cutting off his arm and reattaching it, blitzing everybody, and ending the fight there. But as we all know, Uzuki's mental state collapsed the moment Takamura swung his blade to finish him off, forcing him to copy Takamura's entire personality in order to survive. After doing this, he swiped Takamura's blade, cut him in half, and just ditched the scene, getting a dub over the strongest character in the series. But again, he did catch him off guard. So yeah, Uzuki has quite the resume and he's easily the most powerful character in the series. Nobody from Team Sakamoto can defeat him alone, as he cuts down every single one of them with ease. Kindaka and Nagumo require more effort than the others, but he cuts them down too. As for Sakamoto, we still don't know how strong he's become after his training with Taurus because of the current flashback arc. So I can't give you an exact answer, but he's certainly not on Uzuki's level, even if you gave him a Super Saiyan transformation. Nobody from the Order has an inkling of a chance, as he cuts down every single one of them with ease. All but Takamura, of course, and maybe also Taurus, who would require a little bit more effort than the others from what we know, but it'd still be a low diff. Nobody from Alkamar is doing anything to Uzuki, and at the end of it all, nobody stands a chance but Takamura himself. If Uzuki manages to combine all of his abilities and control all of his personalities, then I think even Takamura might go out pretty sad. It goes without saying that Uzuki is the most powerful character in Sakamoto Days, and rightfully deserves his place as the main antagonist of the series. I just hope we get a fight from him soon. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, let me know by leaving a like and subscribe. It really helps out. Trying to hit 100K soon, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.